The widow's porch stretched gently under the soft glow of a silver moon. The old wooden planks worn smooth over countless nights of wind, rain, and quiet reflection. Each creak carrying echoes of stories that had long since passed from living memory, but remained suspended in the very fibers of the house. Jonathan stepped lightly along the garden path leading to the porch, moss and fallen leaves cushioning his feet. The cool night air carrying a delicate blend of cedar, damp earth, and faint floral notes, a scent that seemed to wrap around him, inviting him to relax deeply, allowing the tension of the day to slowly slip away. The garden, bathed in the subtle luminescence of the moon, extended quietly to the edges of his vision, shadows soft and undulating, each one moving like a gentle wave of history, a faint whisper of lives lived and stories half forgotten, yet quietly persistent in their gentle presence. On the porch, the widow herself was seated in a high-backed rocking chair, her shawl draped softly across her shoulders, hands folded in her lap, her gaze occasionally drifting to the far edge of the garden where shadows met moonlight. Her presence exuded calm, carrying a soft aura of both comfort and mystery, as if she knew secrets of the house and garden that were not meant for ordinary observation. Yet the night itself seemed to approve of her gentle watchfulness, lending a sense of security even as the mind wandered into quiet curiosity. The wind whispered softly through the trees, the leaves rustling like soft applause, the occasional croak of a distant frog or call of a night bird blending seamlessly into the ambient soundtrack of the evening, all forming a continuous, hypnotic cadence that synced naturally with Jonathan's breathing, his heartbeat slowing, each exhale releasing invisible threads of tension, each inhale pulling in the serene, magical calm that seemed to suffuse every corner of the porch and garden. Moonlight streamed through the gaps in the railing, casting delicate silver patterns across the worn wood, illuminating subtle details, the curve of a flower petal dusted with dew, the intricate textures of carved railings, the faint outline of furniture softened by years of paint and weathering, all contributing to a sense of continuity between past and present, the seen and the unseen, the living and the echoes of those who had lingered here before. Beyond the porch, the garden stretched into darkness, soft by the delicate luminescence of fireflies, their tiny lights flickering and pulsing gently like the heartbeat of the night itself. A rhythm that encouraged Jonathan to let go of thought, to sink fully into the embrace of the environment, to feel the harmony of nature, history, and gentle supernatural presence blending seamlessly into a state of peace and quiet contemplation. The subtle creak of the rocking chair punctuated the silence, each movement measured and deliberate, a soft cadence that synchronized with the rippling of leaves in the wind, the gentle sway of branches, the occasional rustle of small nocturnal creatures moving unseen in the undergrowth, all contributing to a sensation of immersive tranquility. Shadows along the porch and garden danced slowly as moonlight shifted, the air filled with a faint energy that was perceptible yet entirely soothing, a subtle awareness of the past and the passage of time that invited reflection and mindfulness, drawing Jonathan's senses fully into the present while allowing his imagination to wander lightly into memory and mystery. The widow occasionally adjusted her shawl or tilted her head to observe the distant shadows, her movements deliberate, peaceful, and calming, each gesture a quiet punctuation in the hypnotic narrative of the night. The air carried a mixture of scents and sounds: damp earth, faint floral perfume, the soft rustle of leaves, the muted trickle of water from a distant fountain, all coalescing into a cozy, magical, calming, and peaceful environment, perfect for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Jonathan imagined himself settling onto the porch floor, leaning against the railing, breathing slowly, feeling the cool wood beneath him, letting the combined harmony of moonlight, shadows, the widow's quiet presence, and the gentle whispers of the night's subtle magic lull him into serenity. The porch seemed to vibrate gently with centuries of quiet energy. The stones, the wood, the air itself infused with traces of countless evenings of reflection, solitude, and the lingering presence of spirits, both kind and curious. Their light footsteps across the porch and garden, almost imperceptible, yet harmonizing with the natural rhythm of night. Each element there, rocking chair, the lanterns casting soft glows, the moonlight rippling across leaves and petals, the quiet motion of shadows, the faint energy of lingering spirits combined into a continuous flow of relaxing, peaceful, magical, and calming sensations, guiding Jonathan and anyone imagining the scene into a meditative state, fully receptive to rest and sleep. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk, as the night deepened, the soft hum of insects and the distant call of an owl blended seamlessly into the quiet symphony of the garden, creating a tranquil background that encouraged the mind to drift gently. Jonathan could feel the gentle sway of the porch beneath him as he imagined the rocking chair moving slowly, each creak perfectly timed with the rhythm of his own breathing, drawing him further into a state of deep relaxation. The widow remained seated, her presence steady and reassuring, her eyes reflecting the subtle glimmers of lantern light that scattered across the porch, creating tiny pools of warmth and calm in the surrounding darkness. The gentle mist from the nearby river began to drift toward the garden, curling around the edges of the porch and weaving through the soft shadows, bringing with it a cool, calming sensation that enveloped Jonathan as if the air itself were sighing gently, reminding him to release the cares of the day. The plants along the porch swayed slightly in the night breeze, their leaves brushing softly against each other, creating a natural whisper that harmonized with the distant sounds of the night, a symphony of subtle motion and gentle sound that seemed to exist only to soothe, to calm, and to guide the mind into stillness. Jonathan imagined tracing the textures of the weathered wood beneath his fingers, feeling every groove and imperfection as though the porch itself were speaking to him, telling stories of those who had sat here long ago, of the quiet moments of reflection, of love, sorrow, and memory that lingered in the very fibers of the wood. Shadows moved gently across the garden, shaped by the moonlight as it shifted imperceptibly with the passage of time, creating new patterns and forms that felt alive yet soft, alive yet entirely safe, inviting Jonathan to observe without expectation, to notice without judgment, and to breathe with the slow, measured rhythm of the night. The lanterns cast a golden glow over the porch, highlighting the delicate curves of flowers and the intricate patterns of carved wood. their light flickering ever so slightly as the air shifted, creating a sense of gentle movement that was hypnotic and soothing, a perfect accompaniment to the soft cadence of Jonathan's breathing. Occasionally, the faint outline of a spirit seemed to shimmer along the edges of the garden, a luminous, ethereal presence that moved slowly, deliberately, and gracefully, leaving behind a feeling of serenity and wonder, never startling, never alarming, only enhancing the magical quality of the night and the peacefulness of the meditation. Jonathan could feel a growing sense of harmony with every element around him: the rocking chair, the wooden planks beneath his hands, the shadows dancing in the moonlight, the soft rustle of leaves, the gentle motion of the mist, and the quiet presence of the widow wall, combining into a continuous, immersive experience that encouraged surrender, calm, and deep rest. The air was cool yet comforting, filled with the faint scent of cedar, damp earth, and flowers. Each inhalation reinforcing the sensation of calm, each exhalation letting go of tension, anxiety, and the remnants of the day. Every subtle sound, every shifting shadow, every faint glimmer of light contributed to the tapestry of relaxation, a cozy, magical, calming, and peaceful environment that perfectly suited a bedtime story. Sleep story and guided sleep meditation. Jonathan imagined leaning back against the railing, closing his eyes, and feeling the gentle sway of the porch as though it were rocking him into sleep. Every creak and groan of the wood blending seamlessly with the natural rhythm of his body and the soft cadence of the night. The garden seemed alive with quiet energy, a presence that was perceptible yet entirely gentle, as if the spirits of those who had lived and loved here lingered to provide comfort, continuity, and a sense of connectedness, reminding Jonathan of the delicate balance between the seen and unseen, the present and the past. Light from the lanterns shimmered along the edges of leaves and petals, highlighting textures and shapes that would otherwise have been invisible in the darkness, creating a sense of wonder and enchantment, a quiet magic that filled the space and encouraged deep relaxation. The widow's gentle movements, the rocking chair, the drifting mist, the flickering lantern light, and the soft, continuous chorus of the night combined into a single flowing rhythm, a lullaby for the mind, body, and spirit, drawing Jonathan closer to the edge of sleep. As he imagined each detail, each subtle shift of light and shadow, he felt a profound sense of serenity, the kind of calm that only exists when one is fully present yet completely released from worry, fully aware yet gently drifting. The night seemed suspended in time, a perfect balance of stillness and subtle motion, serenity and magic, a place where the mind could rest and the heart could feel safe, embraced and comforted. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried gently by the rhythm of the widow's porch, the soft sway of the rocking chair, the luminous whispers of the night, and the gentle presence of history lingering in every detail. The night deepened further, and the subtle shimmer of moonlight cast delicate patterns across the porch and garden, illuminating the soft curves of flowers, the edges of worn wood, and the gentle sway of lantern light that flickered in quiet harmony, with the gentle night breeze. Jonathan allowed his senses to fully absorb the scene, noticing the delicate interplay between shadow and light. The faint rustle of leaves, the soft murmur of insects, and the distant call of an owl echoing from the far edge of the property, all merging into a continuous flow of calm and serene presence. The widow rocked slowly in her chair, her shawl shifting softly across her shoulders, and Jonathan imagined the soft creak of the wood beneath her movements, syncing perfectly with the rhythm of his own breathing, drawing him deeper into relaxation. The air smelled faintly of cedar, damp earth, and jasmine, a delicate combination that seemed to infuse every inhalation with peace and every exhalation with release, allowing tension and worries to drift away effortlessly, leaving only the gentle embrace of the night around him. Shadows danced along the edges of the porch as the moon shifted, creating forms that seemed to whisper ancient stories, tales of love, sorrow, joy, and mystery lingering in the quiet corners of the garden, each one a soft invitation for imagination to wander freely, yet safely, in this sanctuary of calm. The mist rising from the river beyond the garden curled through the air, brushing against Jonathan's imagined skin like a gentle caress, each wisp of fog carrying a subtle sense of magic, of history, of presence that was neither alarming nor intrusive, only soothing and enchanting, enhancing the meditative quality of the moment. Lantern light glimmered across the porch, reflecting faintly in puddles of dew and on the edges of petals, the delicate illumination casting tiny moving shadows that added rhythm and texture to the sensory experience, encouraging Jonathan's mind to move slowly, gently, like water, settling into a state of quiet, attentive relaxation. The porch itself seemed alive with soft energy, each plank of wood, each carved railing, each small imperfection carrying echoes of nights spent in reflection, moments of contemplation, and lingering memories of those who had passed, creating a continuum of presence that was both grounding and magical, a safe harbor for the mind to rest. Jonathan imagined his fingers tracing the grooves and textures of the weathered wood, feeling the stories embedded in the grain, sensing the continuity of human experience, and noticing how every creak, every whisper of wind, and every soft rustle of leaves worked together to create a perfectly synchronized lullaby for the senses. The fireflies in the garden twinkled faintly, tiny pulses of light that mirrored the slow, calm rhythm of his heartbeat, each flicker reinforcing a sense of peacefulness and connection, as if the garden itself were alive and breathing with him, a gentle, magical companion guiding him toward sleep. Occasionally, Jonathan imagined the faint shimmer of a spirit drifting slowly along the periphery of the garden, luminous and serene, its presence calm and protective, a subtle reminder that the world of the seen and the unseen could coexist harmoniously, offering comfort rather than fear. The night air shifted, carrying new scents and sounds, the distant rustle of small creatures moving through underbrush, the soft trickle of water over stones unseen, the whisper of wind through distant branches, all blending seamlessly into a tapestry of cozy, calming, magical, and peaceful sensations, each one reinforcing the gentle rhythm of relaxation, each one drawing Jonathan deeper into the safe embrace of the porch and garden. As he imagined every subtle detail, the rocking chair, The gentle sway of lanterns, the textures of flowers and wood, the movement of mist and shadows, and the presence of lingering spirits. He felt his body sinking further into ease, his mind quieting, and his awareness expanding to include the full serenity of the night. The widow's gentle gaze, the rhythm of her rocking, and the harmonious interplay of light, shadow, scent, and sound created a unified meditation, a seamless experience of calm that extended from the porch to the garden, to the air, and to every fiber of his being, carrying him gently toward the edge of sleep. The combination of moonlight, mist, lantern glow, soft wind, and natural night sounds formed a continuous, immersive guided sleep meditation, a bedtime story and sleep story designed to enchant, soothe, and lull, leaving the mind open, the body relaxed, and the heart calm. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried effortlessly by the quiet rhythm of the widow's porch, the gentle rocking of the chair, and the subtle magic of the night around you. The moon continued its slow journey across the sky, casting long, silvery beams that filtered through the trees, painting the porch and garden with shifting patterns of light and shadow, each one carrying a subtle rhythm that seemed to match the quiet pulse of Jonathan's breath. The rocking chair moved steadily, the creak of its old wooden joints blending seamlessly with the faint rustle of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze, each sound a soft anchor, grounding him in the calm, meditative atmosphere of the night. The widow sat quietly, her shawl resting softly on her shoulders, the folds catching moonlight and shadow in a way that made her seem part of the luminous scene itself, her presence both soothing and subtly mysterious, a gentle guide through the delicate balance of stillness and awareness. Jonathan imagined reaching out to touch the rough textures of the wooden planks beneath his fingers, feeling the coolness of the night air on his skin, and sensing the stories embedded in every groove and imperfection of the porch. Stories of quiet reflection, of laughter and sorrow, of lives lived and remembered only in whispers. The garden stretched outward into the night, shadows blending with patches of soft moonlight, the gentle movement of branches and leaves creating a living tapestry, an ever-changing painting that invited his mind to wander safely into its folds, exploring its beauty without concern, allowing the imagination to drift freely while the body remained fully relaxed. Fireflies glimmered faintly among the flowers, tiny beacons of light floating like drifting stars, their slow, intermittent flashes, adding a subtle rhythm that intertwined with the natural cadence of Jonathan's breathing, reinforcing a deep sense of calm and connection to the serene energy of the night. The gentle mist rising from the nearby river wove through the garden, brushing softly against flowers, railings, and the edge of the porch, carrying a delicate chill that was comforting rather than startling, enhancing the magical quality of the scene, and drawing Jonathan further into a meditative state where past and present, the seen and unseen, coexisted in harmonious balance. The widow's rocking created a barely perceptible sway that seemed to ripple through the porch, as though the wood itself responded to the quiet energy of the night. Every sound, movement, and shadow contributing to a continuous, immersive meditation, a living lullaby for the senses that guided Jonathan gently closer to the edge of sleep. Tiny animals stirred in the underbrush, their faint sounds harmonizing with the chorus of wind, water, and distant nocturnal birds, adding layers of texture and depth to the sonic landscape without disrupting the calm. Each note and whisper reinforcing the sense of cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming stillness that permeated the scene. The lanterns scattered along the porch cast gentle pools of golden light, illuminating the fine details of carved wood, delicate petals, and the subtle textures of moss and stone. The flickering glow creating slow-moving patterns that drew Jonathan's gaze and encouraged soft focus, relaxation, and gentle mental wandering, a perfect accompaniment to a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Shadows played across the porch, stretching and shifting as the night progressed, sometimes forming shapes that suggested the presence of unseen visitors, spirits of the past lingering in gentle observation, never intrusive, never alarming, only adding to the quiet mystery and enchantment of the moment, a reminder that the night held layers of life and memory woven seamlessly into the present calm. Jonathan allowed himself to feel each sensation, delete the slight sway of the chair, the soft brush of mist, the cool caress of night air, the quiet symphony of rustling leaves, distant water, and soft animal carousal, merging into a single, flowing current of peace and awareness, guiding him effortlessly into relaxation, contemplation, and readiness for sleep. The porch, the widow, the garden, and the night itself became a living meditation, a harmonious interplay of light, shadow, sound, and gentle energy, each element supporting the other in a delicate balance that encouraged surrender, calm, and deep rest. As Jonathan's awareness expanded to include the subtle presence of lingering spirits, the gentle movement of fireflies, the soft caress of mist, and the warm glow of lantern light, he felt a profound sense of comfort and serenity. A safe, enchanted space where the mind could drift freely, the body could release tension, and the spirit could embrace the peaceful rhythm of the night. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried gently by the rocking of the widow's chair, the whispers of the garden, the luminous shadows, and the magical calm of the porch and night surrounding you. The night deepened, and the gentle sway of the rocking chair carried a soft rhythm that resonated through the wooden planks of the porch, every creak and groan blending seamlessly with the hushed whispers of the garden, a lullaby of subtle sound and motion that invited Jonathan to sink ever deeper into calm. The air was cool and fragrant, carrying hints of cedar, damp earth, and flowering vines, each inhalation filling his lungs with a sense of serenity, each exhalation releasing tension, worry, and the remnants of the day, leaving only the quiet embrace of the night around him. Lantern light flickered gently across the porch, casting delicate, moving patterns on the weathered wood and the petals of nearby flowers. The soft glow creating a magical interplay of light and shadow that encouraged the imagination to wander freely yet safely, exploring the subtle mysteries of the garden and the porch without fear, only curiosity and calm. Mist drifted lazily from the river beyond, curling softly around the edges of the garden and brushing the corners of the porch. a cool, soothing touch that enhanced the peaceful rhythm of Jonathan's breathing, carrying with it the faint shimmer of unseen presence. The gentle, protective energy of spirits lingering quietly in harmony with the natural world. The widow remained seated in her backed chair, her shawl shifting slightly with the breeze, her gaze occasionally sweeping across the garden, calm and steady, a living anchor in the otherwise ephemeral play of shadows, light, and mist. Each moment, each subtle sound, each flicker of light was part of a continuous flow, a meditative rhythm that Jonathan allowed himself to fully experience, surrendering to the gentle current of the night, the rocking of the chair, the soft stir of leaves, and the slow passage of moonlight across the garden. Fireflies pulsed softly among the flowers, tiny lanterns suspended in darkness, their gentle flashes adding a visual rhythm that synchronized with the natural cadence of his body and mind, reinforcing a deep sense of cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming presence, perfectly suited for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Shadows stretched and shifted along the edges of the porch, creating the impression of movement that was both alive and subtle, as if the past and present coexisted in delicate balance. The echoes of those who had spent quiet nights here before blending seamlessly with the gentle motion of leaves, mist, and lantern light. Jonathan imagined running his fingers along the carved edges of the railing, feeling the history embedded in each groove and imperfection, sensing the continuity of presence and memory, and noticing how every subtle detail, the sway of branches, the distant ripple of water, the soft creak of the chair worked in unison to lull him toward a state of deep relaxation. The night seemed to breathe around him, a living entity of calm and subtle energy, carrying whispers of past stories, moments of reflection, and lingering joy and sorrow, all folded gently into the rhythm of the present, inviting him to be fully present, yet completely surrendered to serenity. Lanterns glimmered faintly along the porch, their warm light catching dewdrops on leaves and petals, creating tiny reflections that shimmered like stars fallen to earth. Each one a gentle visual note in the harmonious symphony of calm, magic, and peace that filled the night. The mist and moonlight intertwined with shadows, tracing slow patterns that seemed to move in time with the rocking of the chair and the soft cadence of Jonathan's breath. A hypnotic, continuous flow that encouraged meditation, contemplation, and restful surrender. Occasionally, Jonathan imagined faint, luminescent shapes moving at the edges of perception, protective spirits of the garden or echoes of the past, their presence entirely gentle, enhancing the serenity and magical quality of the night rather than disturbing it, creating a safe, enchanting environment for the mind and body to rest. Every sound, every movement, every faint shimmer of light worked together to form a seamless, immersive experience, guiding Jonathan into deep relaxation, heightening his awareness of peaceful energy while simultaneously dissolving tension, fear, or distraction, leaving only calm, safety, and gentle wonder. The rocking chair, the widow's steady presence, the delicate glow of lanterns, the drifting mist, and the soft rustle of leaves all combined into a living, breathing meditation, a continuous lullaby of cozy, magical, peaceful, and calming sensations that carried Jonathan effortlessly towards sleep. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, cradled gently by the sway of the widow's chair, the quiet whispers of the garden, the shimmering light, and the comforting, magical energy of the night surrounding you. The night had settled into a profound stillness, the moon casting long silver beams across the porch and garden, soft and steady, illuminating the subtle contours of flowers, leaves, and the worn wooden planks beneath Jonathan's imagined fingertips. The rocking chair moved gently with the widow's quiet rhythm, its creaks harmonizing with the whisper soul the wind through the trees, the distant trickle of the river, and the faint rustle of nocturnal creatures moving through the underbrush, all forming a seamless symphony that encouraged the mind to release every lingering thought and tension. Jonathan allowed his senses to fully engage with the environment, noticing the interplay of light and shadow, the gentle sway of branches, the subtle sparkle of dew on petals, and the soft flicker of lanterns scattered across the porch, each one a warm, comforting presence in the cool night. Mist curled slowly from the river, drifting into the garden and curling around the edges of the porch, a soft, cooling touch that felt like a gentle caress, wrapping Jonathan in a protective embrace, guiding his awareness into a meditative state of calm and serenity. The widow remained a steady figure in the quiet, her shawl resting softly on her shoulders, hands folded in her lap, her gaze sweeping over the garden with quiet attentiveness, a reassuring presence that enhanced the meditative flow of the night, reminding Jonathan of the gentle rhythm of the rocking chair, and the soft chorus of natural and supernatural elements surrounding him. Fireflies drifted like tiny floating lanterns among the flowers, their faint, intermittent glows adding a rhythmic visual harmony to the auditory symphony of the night, syncing effortlessly with Jonathan's breath, slowing and deepening it, and amplifying the sense of cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming presence, perfect for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Shadows stretched and shifted across the porch and garden, sometimes suggesting the form of a lingering spirit, luminous and ethereal, moving slowly and gently, never disturbing, only enhancing the enchantment and tranquility of the night, a subtle reminder that the past and present coexist in harmony when one embraces stillness and awareness. Jonathan imagined tracing the grooves and textures of the wooden railing, feeling centuries of quiet history embedded in every curve and imperfection, sensing the lives, emotions, and memories that had passed through the space, all folding gently into the rhythm of the night, connecting him to a larger, timeless flow of calm and reflection. The lanterns flickered softly, their golden light illuminating dew-laden petals, worn steps, and intricate carvings, each flicker a tiny meditation, a gentle visual anchor that guided Jonathan's mind to focus, relax, and surrender. The gentle sway of the rocking chair, the faint shimmer of mist, the rhythmic rustle of leaves, the soft calls of distant animals, and the luminous presence of protective spirits all merged into a single, continuous stream of sensory and emotional tranquility, a living, breathing meditation that carried Jonathan effortlessly toward a state of profound rest. The garden, the porch, the widow, and the night itself seemed to exist in a delicate balance of stillness, gentle emotion, and subtle energy, each element reinforcing the other. Each sound, scent, and sight contributing to the hypnotic flow of calm, relaxation, and gentle wonder. Jonathan felt the weight of the day dissolve entirely, his mind fully immersed in the serene tapestry woven by moonlight, mist, shadows, lanterns, and the quiet rhythm of life, both seen and unseen. In Tigardaan, every subtle detail, the creak of the rocking chair, the sway of branches, the soft glow of lanterns, the drift in mist, and the presence of ethereal spirits worked together to lull him further, guiding him into deep relaxation, contemplative serenity, and the threshold of peaceful sleep. As the story gently draws to a close, Jonathan's awareness expanded, embracing the complete calm of the porch, the garden, the widow's presence, and the magical rhythm of the night, a perfect balance of imagination, serenity, and release. And now, as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried by the gentle sway of the widow's chair, the soft whispers of leaves, the shimmering lantern light, the curling mist, and the harmonious, magical energy of the night that surrounds you, inviting rest.com and deep, restorative slumber. Remember to subscribe and support the channel to continue exploring these cozy, calming, peaceful, and magical bedtime stories, guiding you night after night into serenity and gentle sleep. Asterisk. The first whispers of nightfall settled gently over the landscape, the soft glow of twilight fading into a deep, velvety darkness that stretched across the garden and porch, wrapping Jonathan in a cocoon of calm and anticipation. The widow sat quietly, her shawl draping elegantly across her shoulders, and the rocking chair moved slowly, steadily, each creak syncing perfectly with the rhythm of Jonathan's slow, deliberate breaths, inviting him to release tension and fully immerse himself in the tranquil environment. Lanterns flickered softly along the edges of the porch, casting warm, golden pools of light that danced across the weathered wood, the petals of flowers, and the moss-covered stones nearby, creating a subtle interplay of light and shadow that was hypnotic yet soothing, drawing the mind gently toward calmness and focus. A gentle mist rose from the river just beyond the garden, curling through the air with delicate, almost ethereal movement, brushing softly against leaves and petals, carrying with it a cool, comforting touch that encouraged Jonathan to relax further, to let go of the stress of the day, and to sink fully into the rhythm of the night. The soft murmur of distant water combined with the quiet rustle of nocturnal creatures in the underbrush, the occasional call of a night bird, and the faint whisper of wind through the trees, all blending seamlessly into a continuous soundscape of serenity, a natural symphony designed to guide the mind into a meditative state. Jonathan's imagination wandered gently along the edges of the garden, tracing the moonlit paths, following the faint shimmer of fireflies among flowers, and noticing how every detail, the curve of a railing, the sway of a branch, the flicker of lantern light contributed to a harmonious, calming energy that felt protective, soothing, and magical. Shadows moved slowly across the garden, elongating and shifting as the night progressed, at times suggesting the presence of spirits or echoes of past lives, luminous and soft, their movements deliberate and entirely gentle, enhancing the enchantment of the scene and deepening Jonathan's sense of safety, serenity, and wonder. The rocking chair sway, the widow's steady presence, the soft mist, the glowing lanterns, and the distant murmur of the river combined into a seamless flow of sensory and emotional tranquility, each element supporting the other in a continuous, immersive meditation that encouraged the body to relax completely, the mind to soften, and the imagination to explore freely yet safely. The air carried a delicate mix of cedar, damp earth, and flowering vines, scents that filled Jonathan's lungs with comfort and familiarity, reinforcing the calm, magical, and peaceful environment. Fireflies pulsed like tiny, drifting stars, their intermittent flashes creating a visual rhythm that mirrored the gentle cadence of his breathing, reinforcing the connection between body, mind, and environment, heightening the feeling of cozy, calming, magical, and peaceful presence, ideal for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. The mist and moonlight wove together, forming soft patterns across the porch, garden, and surrounding landscape, creating subtle movement and texture that invited Jonathan to observe without expectation, to notice without judgment, and to breathe slowly, deeply, and intentionally, fully surrendering to the experience. Occasionally, a faint, shimmering outline would appear at the periphery of vision, a spirit of the past moving gently and deliberately, never startling, only enhancing the magical quality of the night. A reminder that the unseen and the known could coexist harmoniously, creating layers of history, memory, and calm energy in every corner of the garden. Jonathan imagined running his fingers along the worn wood of the railing, sensing centuries of quiet reflection embedded in every groove and imperfection, each one a story of human presence and emotion, all contributing to the serene rhythm of the night. Lantern light flickered softly, illuminating Duke's carved wood and mossy stones, creating gentle, shifting patterns that drew Jonathan's gaze and invited soft focus, gentle curiosity, and a deep sense of calm. The subtle sway of the rocking chair, the soft rustle of leaves, the drifting mist, and the presence of protective spirits merged into a living, breathing meditation, a continuous lullaby for the senses that guided Jonathan closer to deep relaxation and restful awareness. Every sound, scent, and movement contributed to a tapestry of serenity, a cozy, magical, peaceful, and calming environment where the mind could drift freely, the body could release tension, and the spirit could embrace the gentle flow of the night. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried effortlessly by the gentle rocking of the chair, the whisper of leaves, the shimmer of lantern light, the curling mist, and the protective, magical energy surrounding you. The night deepened further, and the gentle sway of the rocking chair, combined with the soft luminescence of lanterns, created a tranquil rhythm that pulsed through the porch and garden, carrying a sense of serenity that seemed almost tangible. Jonathan imagined the subtle patterns of moonlight weaving through the trees, tracing delicate lines across the wooden planks, petals, and moss-covered stones, each movement forming a living tapestry that invited his mind to wander freely yet safely. exploring the magical, peaceful environment without concern. The widow remained quietly seated, her shawl softly draping over her shoulders, the faint creak of the chair blending harmoniously with the whisper of leaves in the breeze, the distant trickle of the river, and the occasional flutter of wings from unseen nocturnal creatures, creating a seamless soundscape of calm. Mist rose gently from the water, curling through the air with cool, soothing motion, brushing lightly against leaves, flowers, and the edge of the porch, enhancing the sense of otherworldly serenity, while inviting Jonathan to release any remaining tension, letting the gentle night embrace him fully. Fireflies drifted lazily among the flowers, their soft, intermittent flashes adding a visual rhythm that mirrored the slow cadence of Jonathan's breath, each flicker reinforcing the sense of cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming presence, perfectly suited for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. The shadows cast by lanterns and moonlight shifted gradually, forming fleeting, ethereal shapes that hinted at the presence of gentle spirits, remnants of past lives that moved quietly through the garden. Luminous and calm, their presence is subtle, comforting reminder that the seen and unseen coexist harmoniously. Jonathan felt the texture of the weathered wooden railing beneath his imagined fingers, sensing the continuity of history, emotion, and human experience embedded in every groove and imperfection. Each detail reinforcing a sense of grounding, connection, and meditative focus. The air carried the mingled scents of cedar, damp earth, and flowering vines, enriching each breath with relaxation and serenity, encouraging the mind to soften, the body to release tension, and the spirit to embrace stillness. Occasionally, a soft rustle in the underbrush or the distant murmur of water added depth to the ambient symphony, a reminder of life moving quietly in parallel with the calm, magical energy surrounding Jonathan, each sound reinforcing the gentle hypnotic flow that drew him further into relaxation. Lanterns flickered gently across the porch, reflecting in tiny pools of dew and casting subtle glimmers upon petals, carved wood, and mossy stones, their soft illumination creating delicate moving patterns that invited soft observation and calm immersion. The gentle sway of the rocking chair, the quiet rhythm of the widow's presence, the curling mist, the shimmering light, and the distant murmurs of nature merged into a continuous stream of meditative experience, each element reinforcing the other in perfect harmony, guiding Jonathan's mind to a state of effortless, calm, and gentle awareness. Shadows shifted slowly across the garden, elongating and blending with patches of moonlight, sometimes suggesting shapes that hinted at unseen companions, protective spirits moving deliberately and quietly, never alarming, only enhancing the sense of enchantment and serenity. Jonathan allowed his imagination to fully explore the soft edges of the garden, tracing the contours of the porch, noticing the subtle interplay of light, shadow, and texture, and feeling a sense of deep connection to the space, a profound awareness of the beauty, history, and gentle magic that infused every detail. The mist, moonlight, fireflies, and lantern glow interwove seamlessly, forming a visual and sensory rhythm that encouraged slow, deep breathing, soft focus, and total immersion in the peaceful, calming environment. Every subtle creak, rustle, flicker, and shimmer contributed to a living meditation of flowing, harmonious lullaby that guided Jonathan closer to a state of profound rest, where body, mind, and spirit aligned with the gentle, magical rhythm of the night. As he imagined the continuity of the porch, the garden, the widow, and the quiet presence of spirits past and present, Jonathan felt the world simplify into pure serenity, a perfect balance of stillness, movement, and energy, all supporting rest, reflection, and relaxation. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried by the rocking of the chair, the whispers of leaves, the glimmering lantern light, the curling mist, and the gentle, magical energy of the night surrounding you. A sanctuary of calm, serenity, and restorative rest. The night air had grown cooler, carrying with it the faint, soothing scent of wet earth, cedar, and the delicate perfume of late-blooming flowers, each inhalation filling Jonathan with a sense of calm and grounding, each exhalation releasing tension, thought, and the lingering worries of the day. The rocking chair moved steadily under the widow's gentle motion, creaking softly in rhythm with the subtle rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant murmur of the river, and the occasional soft call of a night bird hidden among the branches, all merging into a continuous, harmonious lullaby that wrapped around Jonathan like a comforting blanket. Lanterns flickered gently along the edges of the porch, casting warm, golden light that reflected off dukist petals and mossy stones, forming soft, shifting patterns that invited the mind to observe without expectation and to focus on the serene beauty of the environment. Mist drifted slowly from the riverbank, curling around flowers, branches, and the edge of the porch, a cool, delicate caress that seemed almost sentient, guiding Jonathan deeper into a state of meditative relaxation, encouraging his mind to let go, his body to soften, and his spirit to sink into the gentle rhythm of the night. Fireflies flitted like tiny floating lanterns, their intermittent glimmers adding a subtle, hypnotic visual pulse that synchronized with Jonathan's slow, deliberate breathing, reinforcing the cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming energy surrounding him, perfectly suited for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Shadows stretched and swayed across the porch and garden, sometimes forming fleeting, ethereal shapes that suggested the presence of protective spirits or echoes of the past, gentle and luminous, moving deliberately and without threat, enhancing the magical, serene atmosphere rather than disturbing it. Jonathan imagined running his fingers along the carved edges of the railing, feeling the worn textures and imagining the centuries of quiet reflection embedded in the wood, each groove an imperfection telling a story of lives lived, emotions felt, and moments passed in contemplative stillness, adding to the deep sense of grounding and serenity that enveloped him. The widow remained still yet present, her shawl resting softly across her shoulders, her eyes following the subtle movements of the garden, a steady anchor in the midst of swirling shadows, soft light, and drifting mist, reassuring Jonathan of the safety, calm, and peaceful rhythm of the night. The subtle symphony of sounds, the creak of the chair, the whisper of leaves, the gentle rush of distant water, and the occasional distant call of an owl blended seamlessly into a continuous, flowing meditation, each note a soft invitation to release thought, surrender tensión, and allow the mind to drift. Lantern light reflected across dew-laden petals, carved wood, and mossy stones, creating delicate moving patterns that captured attention without distraction, fostering a deep sense of observation, curiosity, and calm focus. A perfect companion to the meditative, immersive experience of the night. The rocking of the chair, the widow's quiet presence, the soft, misty, shimmering lantern glow, the rhythmic pulse of fireflies, and the ambient whispers of nature converged into a harmonious, living meditation. An invisible current that carried Jonathan gently toward deep relaxation and restful awareness. Shadows of the garden seemed alive, slowly stretching and folding, intertwining with moonlight and lantern glow, creating shapes that were both mysterious and comforting, suggesting layers of history, memory, and protective presence that enhanced the magical serenity of the night. Jonathan allowed himself to fully embrace the sensory experience, feeling the cool mist, the gentle warmth of lantern light, the steady sway of the chair, the fragrant night air, and the harmonious chorus of sound around him, each element reinforcing the continuous flow of calm, peace, and restorative energy. Every subtle creak, rustle, glimmer, and whisper contributed to a living, breathing lullaby, guiding Jonathan's mind and body into the soothing rhythm of the night, merging imagination, awareness, and relaxation into one seamless, restorative experience. As he surrendered further to the gentle flow of the porch, the garden, the widow's presence, and the magical energy of the night, he felt the layers of tension and worry dissolve completely, replaced by profound serenity and readiness for sleep. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried gently by the sway of the chair, the soft whispers of the garden, the flickering lantern light, the curling mist, and the comforting, magical energy of the night surrounding you, enveloping you in deep, restorative calm. The night deepened, and the gentle sway of the rocking chair seemed to pulse in harmony with Jonathan's slow, even breaths, each movement creating a rhythm that carried calm and serenity through every part of his being. Lanterns flickered softly along the porch, casting warm, golden light across weathered wood, flowering vines, and dew-kissed stones, illuminating subtle textures and shadows that shifted slowly, as if alive, inviting the mind to wander safely through the magical landscape of the garden and porch. Mist curled delicately from the river, drifting over petals, grass, and branches, brushing gently against Jonathan's imagined skin. A cool, soothing touch that encouraged relaxation, focus, and a deep sense of peaceful surrender. The widow sat quietly, her shawl resting lightly across her shoulders, eyes following the soft movements of leaves in the breeze, her presence steady and reassuring, anchoring Jonathan to the calm, protective energy that filled the night. Fireflies flickered intermittently among flowers, their tiny lights pulsing gently like stars suspended just above the earth, each flash adding to the hypnotic rhythm of the scene, echoing the rise and fall of Jonathan's breath. reinforcing a cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming atmosphere, ideal for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Shadows elongated and shifted across the porch and garden, forming fleeting shapes that suggested the presence of gentle spirits or echoes of past lives, luminous and protective, moving deliberately without startling, enhancing the sense of enchantment, calm, and safe wonder. Jonathan imagined tracing the carved edges of the porch railing, feeling the worn grooves and textures beneath his fingers, sensing centuries of quiet reflection and human presence embedded in the wood. Every imperfection telling stories of lives lived, emotions felt, and nights of gentle meditation. The subtle symphony of creaks, rustling leaves, distant water, and occasional calls of nocturnal animals blended seamlessly into a continuous, flowing meditation. Each sound a note in the gentle lullaby that guided Jonathan into a deeper state of relaxation and awareness. Lantern light reflected off through laden petals, moss, and carved wood, creating soft, shimmering patterns that invited gentle observation, curiosity, and peaceful focus, supporting the immersive, meditative experience of the night. The rocking chair, the widow's calm presence, the drifting mist, the flickering lanterns, the soft hum of nature, and the protective unseen spirits coalesced into a harmonious, living meditation, carrying Jonathan effortlessly toward deep relaxation, contemplation, and restorative calm. Shadows and moonlight intertwined with gentle precision, sometimes suggesting forms of past visitors. Silent and luminous, moving slowly and without disturbance, reminding Jonathan that history, memory, and magic exist side by side, enhancing the tranquility and mystical ambience of the garden. Every detail, the sway of the chair, the rustle of leaves, the shimmer of light, the curling mist, and the subtle presence of spirits worked together as a continuous flow, guiding Jonathan's mind and body into effortless calm, focus, and restfulness. He allowed himself to fully immerse in the sensory richness of the night, noticing the interplay of texture, sound, scent, and light, feeling a deep connection to the porch, the garden, the widow, and the energy that flowed silently through the space, a protective and magical force that embraced him completely. The rhythm of the rocking chair, the pulse of the fireflies, the gentle motion of shadows, and the soft breath of wind through trees all became part of Jonathan's internal experience, blending imagination and awareness into a continuous, soothing current of calm. The mist, the glowing lanterns, the subtle hum of water and leaves, and the presence of protective spirits formed a living, breathing lullaby, guiding the body and mind toward profound relaxation, mental clarity, and serene contemplation. As the story gently fades, Jonathan's awareness expanded to include the harmony of the entire scene: the rocking chair, the widow, the garden, the mist, the lanterns, and the gentle, magical night itself, inviting him to surrender completely to peace and restorative sleep. And now, as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, embraced by the gentle sway of the chair, the soft whispers of the garden, the shimmering lantern light, the curling mist, and the magical, protective energy that surrounds you, guiding you into calm, serenity, and deep, restorative rest. Asterisk. The nights seem to deepen even further, the cool air carrying subtle scents of cedar, damp earth, and flowering vines. Each inhalation filling Jonathan with a profound sense of calm, each exhalation releasing the lingering tension of the day, his body melting into the rhythm of the gentle rocking chair. Lanterns flickered softly along the porch, casting warm, golden light across weathered wood, moss-covered stones, and dukist petals, forming patterns that shifted slowly with every gentle sway of the chair. Each flicker a hypnotic visual pulse that invited the mind to wander peacefully through the magical landscape. Focused yet serene, mist rose gradually from the river, curling softly around branches, flowers, and the edge of the porch, brushing delicately against Jonathan's imagined skin. A cool, soothing sensation that guided him into an even deeper state of relaxation, encouraging his thoughts to drift and his body to surrender fully to the serene rhythm of the night. The widow remained quietly seated, her shawl draped gently over her shoulders, her presence a steady, reassuring anchor amidst the interplay of shadows, lantern light, and drifting mist, enhancing the feeling of safety, comfort, and magical tranquility surrounding Jonathan. Fireflies drifted lazily through the garden, their soft, intermittent flashes creating a visual rhythm that mirrored the rise and fall of Jonathan's slow, deliberate breaths, reinforcing the cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming ambience, perfect for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Shadows moved gracefully across the porch and garden, forming delicate, ethereal shapes that hinted at gentle spirit, luminous and protective, moving deliberately without alarming, enhancing the sense of quiet wonder and enchantment that permeated the night. Jonathan imagined running his fingers along the carved wooden railing, tracing grooves and textures imbued with centuries of quiet reflection, human presence, and memory, each detail adding depth to the meditative experience, grounding him in the richness and serenity of the environment. The gentle symphony of creaks from the rocking chair, rustling leaves, distant water murmurs, and occasional nightbird calls merged seamlessly into a continuous, flowing meditation, a living lullaby guiding Jonathan toward profound relaxation, focused awareness, and restorative calm. Lantern light reflected softly on moss, wood, and petals, creating subtle, shifting patterns that invited observation without effort, fostering a deep sense of connection, gentle curiosity, and peaceful focus, amplifying the immersive, meditative quality of the night. The rocking chair, the widow's quiet presence, the curling mist, the flickering lanterns, the soft symphony of nature, and the luminous, protective spirits converged into a harmonious, living meditation, carrying Jonathan effortlessly deeper into calm, awareness, and restfulness. Shadows intertwined with moonlight and lantern glow, forming delicate shapes that suggested echoes of the past, silent and luminous, reminding Jonathan that history, memory, and magic coexisted in every corner of the garden, each layer enhancing serenity, safety, and wonder. Every subtle movement, the sway of the chair, the rustle of leaves, the flicker of light, the curling mist, and the presence of spirits merged into a continuous flow of relaxation, guiding the mind, body, and imagination into a seamless state of calm and restorative meditation. Jonathan surrendered completely to the sensory richness of the night, observing the interplay of light, shadow, scent, and sound, feeling a profound connection to the porch, garden, widow, and the invisible, protective energy that surrounded him, allowing each breath to draw him closer to a deep, restorative calm. The rocking motion, flickering lights, whispering leaves, curling mist, and gentle presence of spirits all combined to form a living, breathing lullaby, a rhythm that aligned body, mind, and spirit with the gentle flow of the night, fostering deep relaxation and serenity. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, carried by the gentle sway of the chair, the soft whispers of the garden, the shimmering lantern light, the curling mist, and the magical, protective energy surrounding you, guiding you into calm, serenity, and restorative rest. The night had deepened into a serene darkness. The stars scattered softly across the sky, their gentle shimmer reflected faintly on the river's surface, creating a mirror of light that seemed to stretch endlessly, calming Jonathan's mind and guiding him into a state of profound tranquility. The widow's rocking chair moved gently, each creak a rhythmic whisper that blended seamlessly with the subtle sounds of the night, the rustle of leaves, the distant murmur of flowing water, the soft flutter of wings, and the faint hum of nocturnal insects, all weaving into a continuous, soothing lullaby that enveloped Jonathan completely. Lanterns flickered along the edges of the porch, casting warm, golden pools of light that danced upon the weathered wood, moss-covered stones, and dukist flowers, the glow creating delicate patterns of shadow and illumination that invited gentle observation and relaxed focus. Mist rose from the river, curling in soft, ethereal waves, brushing lightly against branches, flowers, and the edge of the porch, a cool, calming presence that invited Jonathan to surrender fully to the night's rhythm, letting go of any remaining tension or thought. Fireflies moved slowly through the garden, their intermittent flashes like tiny stars drifting close to earth, pulsing in harmony with Jonathan's slow, even breaths, reinforcing a cozy, peaceful, magical, and calming environment, perfectly suited for a bedtime story, sleep story, and guided sleep meditation. Shadows shifted subtly across the porch and garden, forming gentle shapes that suggested protective spirits, silent and luminous, moving with intention but without threat, adding to the sense of safety, wonder, and otherworldly enchantment that surrounded him. Jonathan imagined his fingers tracing the worn textures of the railing, feeling centuries of quiet reflection and human presence embedded in the wood, each groove and imperfection telling stories of lives lived, moments of contemplation, and nights of restful observation, anchoring him firmly in the meditative, restorative experience of the porch. The widow remained quietly seated, her shawl draped softly across her shoulders, a steady and comforting presence amidst the interplay of mist, shadows, and flickering lantern lights, reinforcing the protective, calming energy of the space. The symphony of Nachra, the rocking chair, the whispering leaves, the distant river, an occasional nocturnal cause blended into a continuous, immersive meditation, guiding Jonathan's mind and body effortlessly toward deep relaxation and restorative calm. Lantern light glimmered softly on moss, petals, and carved wood, creating patterns that shifted gently with the rocking motion, inviting focus, observation, and peaceful curiosity without effort, amplifying the magical, serene quality of the night. The rocking chair, the widow's presence, the curling mist, the shimmering lanterns, the gentle ambient sounds, and the subtle movements of protective spirits merged into a living, breathing meditation, each element reinforcing the others in perfect harmony, leading Jonathan into a profound state of calm, restfulness, and mental clarity. Shadows and moonlight intertwined, forming delicate shapes and patterns that suggested history, memory, an unseen presence, silent yet luminous, enhancing Jonathan's sense of safety, wonder, and serenity. A reminder that the seen and unseen coexist gently and harmoniously. Every detail, the sway of the chair, the flicker of light, the rustle of leaves, the curling mist, and the protective presence of spirits contributed to a seamless flow of relaxation, guiding body, mind, and imagination into a continuous, restorative experience. Jonathan surrendered fully to the night, feeling deeply connected to the porch, garden, widow, and the invisible, magical energy surrounding him, each breath drawing him closer to complete, calm, and restorative sleep. The gentle rhythm of the rocking chair, the shimmering lantern light, the whispering leaves, the curling mist, and the protective, magical energy of the night formed a living lullaby, carrying Jonathan into the deepest state of relaxation and restorative rest, where mind, body, and spirit aligned with the tranquil flow of the night. And as the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep, embraced by the gentle sway of the chair, the soft whispers of the garden, the flickering lantern light, the curling mist, and the magical, protective energy surrounding you, inviting you to surrender fully to serenity.com and deep, restorative rest. And now, if you enjoyed this journey, consider subscribing to Midnight Murmurs Radio to continue exploring these gentle, calming, magical nights, and let every evening be filled with peace, wonder, and restful sleep. Asterisk.